We're serving big bear vibes every Friday night. Eason's got his glitter bear on high and jetted shades, ready to read it to Phil. Spilling sass while Techy Joe upgrades the view and attempt to keep it a little classy. Good LGBTQIA plus from these mountain tops. We got a whiskey in the cup and no plans to stop. Tech news, hot takes, and a little bit of fight. So buckle up, sugar, it's gonna be a ride. Well, the mountain bears, turn up the sound. If you ain't ready, better leave this town. We're big, bold, and breaking the mold. So grab a drink and let's let it unfold.
Good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course I'm sitting down with the techie with the mostest, Techy Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Doing well. Having my ice Dunkin' foe, but other than that, it's kicking it. You know, that's going to be the new summer drink, at least for me.
Ah, it's iced coffee.
Iced coffee, yes. I make my own. It's evil. It's very, very evil. But
Do I
it's
need
good.
to call your doctor evil, or like we're sticking to it?
We're not calling the doctor. Furthermore, the only thing he's going to tell you, and I was having this discussion with someone else this morning, he's going to tell you, leave him alone. The last time he tried to do healthy, he always killed himself.
This is true. It was, well, I mean, it wasn't quite that bad, but it wasn't great. It was very
Right.
not great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But hey, Brenda.
Hello, Brenda. Hello, Maureen. Yes, you can ask the question, but you know the rules.
Month, day, and year on their birthday.
All in one, like the question and the month, day, and year. We're not hunting it. You must be 18.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. But no. So
Yeah.
all right, no calling your doctor then. Okay.
No calling my doctor. You know, he's basically told me eat what the hell I want, and he'll yell at me when I need to cut down. This is apparently a new idea for some people that, you know, are diabetic and have RA. Like, the only thing I should not eat is gluten. I think he looks at my sugar and goes, whatever. Like, go eat 5 candy bars. It might help you.
Well,
You know,
I didn't hear that.
okay.
That was not anywhere near what he said.
All right. Well, what did he say?
He basically said just be gentle, but don't like feel like you have to go on the like no carb diet.
Right.
Like it's not working for you. It's kind of working against your medications. It's really not a win-win.
Not a win-win. You know, high protein just pissed my kidneys off and was like, no, don't do that either. And I'm like, fine, what do you want me to do? Whatever you want, but stop being so healthy.
Yeah, well, and I mean everything in moderation, and it does become important. Of course, talk to your doctor. This isn't medical advice. This is just his experience,
Right.
like dealing with his own condition. But what we have noticed is that since we started addressing the gluten issue, and then in addition to like the GLP-1 and all that, over the last year, like it's made some major changes for you.
It has.
Like it really has.
It really has. Like the GLP-1 and the other medicines, like I've got some major changes going on. Was that 207 from 298? So that's almost like, I don't know, 91 pounds. Yeah, in 3 years. You know, it's none of that quick diet, long diet. It's lifestyle changes. But even when like I was eating whatever, but was, not doing the GLP-1 or doing everything else, like things just work differently for my body. We have had this debate with my doctor, and he is like, I don't know, like this last injection, he discovered that my left side is probably a linebacker side. My right side could be a twink or close to a twink side of the back. And he's like, I don't know what the hell that is.
Well, yeah,
yeah.
like the muscle distribution, which you had, kind of noticed was a little,
Yeah.
I should say, not necessarily you noticed, but your trainer noticed
Right.
that was kind of like you were having to do like different weights for different sides, trying to kind of rebalance a little.
Right. All right, let's go ahead and take this question.
All right, so Maria, October 25th, 92. I'm wondering, will Philip move out of my apartment? Will we break up? We have been together for 9 years.
All right, well, let's take a look at this. Now, guys, I looked at the news. It's shit. So we're doing Ask Abe Rose and Chatter. If you're looking for sensational news or something like that, that is not tonight.
It's going to be a fun light show.
Yes. I don't feel him breaking up and moving out with you, although y'all's communication is like shit. I highly recommend you start taking more time for yourself and stop focusing on him so much. I mean, I also think you need to like take a chill pill. Like your self-esteem needs to get a little work over. All right.
All right. So Maria, we hope that helps.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So first up to bat, what do you got?
All right. So the flair on this one is 30 to 34. Guy I am dating just denied the moon landings, and it's genuinely affecting my attraction to it. I can't deal with this conspiracy nonsense. I'm sorry, and I'm not getting into the debate here. Moon landings happened. That's that. I don't know how I want to proceed. It just gives me the ick. Do I just let it go? We are 2 months in.
Stop. Move on.
Yeah, I think that's going to fall into the category of like that's kind of an important thing to agree on.
Right. Exactly.
Like it's I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think you can have different beliefs in a relationship. I think some of those beliefs, however, are either going to hit the ick or the like, this is never going to work.
Well, and some of there's a difference between beliefs and stupidity.
Well, I'm like, hey, if you want to believe that the moon landings didn't happen, that's a choice one can make.
Right.
I don't agree. But I think that's the bigger issue is how entrenched are you?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's a different thing to be like, really into the idea of what if they didn't happen.
Right.
Like I can get behind that. I can be like, that's a fun, like, thought argument.
Right.
Just sit there and play with that one. That's kind of cool. As long as at the end of the day, we're kind of on the same page that, like, nah, it sort of happened. Like,
it
not sort of, it happened.
Right. Now, and there are times you get donut glaze, and that's what we call it. And it's because we're going off of my shit. But it took you a little bit to go, oh, shit, that works. Don't know why, nor do I care. It still works.
Well, I mean, I've at least recognized that, like, that's the connection you see. And it's like, okay, I don't see a harm. It's like, if it is the thing, that's great. If it isn't the thing, then that's fine, too.
Right.
It's not going to negatively impact me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I can be respectful of that. It's different though when you're dealing with someone that's like really, and this is where I'm talking about like that differential
Right.
of like, this is the thing I believe, and like, this is the thing I'm gonna make you believe. Like, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna argue this, and we're gonna argue it, and we're gonna argue it, and we're gonna argue it again. And you will come to the side I'm on.
Exactly. But you know, flat earthers, controversial theory on the moon landing. Now, granted, you know, the moon may be something more than the moon, and that's another conspiracy theory that has merit. But that the moon landing did not happen. No.
That's a really like.
Bye, dude.
I mean, these things exist. They do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more so saying that if you're deeply entrenched
Mm-hmm.
on either side,
Right.
and you're trying to date someone that is also deeply entrenched,
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not going to work.
Yeah, like, that's very much not going to
and
work.
Probably it's going to end badly. Like,
it's going to do more than end badly. It's going to blow up. You're going to have other issues.
Like, the bigger issue with this one that I'm seeing is I'm not going into the debate here.
Right.
It's like, it happened, that's that. Okay,
exactly.
That's deeply entrenched. You're locked on the idea. You're not open to the exploration. And that may have a lot to do with, in the last 2 months, you've had this debate a lot.
Well, yes, or he's pushing the issue. Well,
yeah,
you know,
but that's exactly my point.
Right. But it's like the one, you know, the tire thing that you kept making fun of me about. You know, and he flat out made fun of me, called me a crazy man. And then it happened that night. And he's like,
okay,
motherfucker.
But here's the thing. You need to back up and tell that story.
All right.
Just a little bit so that there's a little understanding. This was every time you were driving down, like every couple of weeks, every week, in that realm, that you were perpetually getting to this one little stretch of road, and every time you were like, oh my God, I think I have a flat tire, I have to pull over and check it.
Right.
And so it did kind of become funny. It's like, honey, you keep doing this. The car's fine. It's a crappy stretch of road. Like, you know, move on with your life.
Yeah.
And then, again, every single time. And so it became, to me, very funny.
Right.
Not as funny when in exactly that point of the road,
right,
we go on to have a flat tire. And a really weird experience with it, too.
Yeah.
Because, of course, we reach for the insurance card, call the roadside assistance. We're like, oh, this is going to suck. It's pouring rain. Like, we're going to be stuck on the road forever. Yeah. And wasn't like 2 minutes later.
Right.
There's a truck behind us. They come up, you know, hey, what's going on? Oh, we have a flat tire. We can't believe you got here this fast. Like, this is amazing. Get the tire changed. And it's like, okay, y'all drive safe. And it's like, don't we have to sign anything?
Yeah.
Only to find out that it's courtesy patrol for the state of West Virginia that just changed our tire in a horrific downpour within like 2 minutes of it happening.
Right.
Like, we were stuck on the side of the road for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, at most. Like, the car didn't even get a chance to get cooled off or anything.
Right. Like, and so we had to cancel the service call. They hadn't even dispatched anyone.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing. And then you've never had a problem with that stretch of road again.
Nope.
Never even noticed it after that. I found it all kind of like, okay. Very like, that all of it worked out that way.
Right.
Like, you've spent more time checking to see if you had a flat tire after going over that stretch of road than it took when we actually had a flat
tire. Mm-hmm.
on that stretch of road. Like, I mean, by a lot, not like
Yeah.
a few minutes. Like,
Yeah.
you were like every single time.
And every single time the car felt weird.
Mhm.
Every time. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then had no problem with the car after that. Like, you
Yep.
never had that moment again. So I don't know. Maybe it was the tire getting ready to go. Maybe it was.
Honey, we changed vehicles.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Forgot about that part. Yeah, because you went through like what, 2 vehicles with that?
Yeah,
3
vehicles. Yeah. We met you in the van. We got the Explorer, and then the Buick, and the Buick's the one the flat happened on. Of course, I'm glad I got rid of the Buick because I kept thinking the tire was going to just come off the Buick.
Okay. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like
well, and it did
car
on the side of the road. So yeah.
Yeah, but that is one level of okay, get the donut glaze, Aeson's at it again, type thing. I'm not sitting here going that we're controlled by aliens and that the moon landings never happened and the Black Knight satellite is actually a spy device sent from a distant galaxy to plan war. Fuck no, that's
we
like
haven't talked about it. There's other episodes of the show you will hear us talk about it. And I do kind of get the donut glaze on that one. It's like, okay, that's all right. Like there's all theories. But it's a lot about being respectful of the fact that I'm allowed to have my own opinion and vice versa.
Right.
And that's what I'm not seeing in this one. Is there's
no room for an opinion, and that's an issue.
Yeah. Like, well, no room for difference.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I suggest that in 2 months you call it quits.
Yeah, that's a very low level of investment. Hopefully you have not called the U-Haul yet to move his tinfoil hats to your house, Well,
I'm trying not to necessarily trash people for like, I get it. Conspiracy theories can be really convincing. Mm-hmm. And there's a large community built around some of them. Like the landings were fake. There's a really strong community around that. And it's like, okay, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if that's where you want to go, that's good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Because sometimes that's the biggest problem with conspiracy theories is there really is no convincing someone that they have fallen down a conspiracy rabbit hole.
Right.
Because it all feels good. And it's presented in a way that makes sense. And it is very skillfully put together to convince people.
Mm-hmm.
It is very hard to pull someone out of those. And they tend to get very, very defensive.
Right. And they can get defensive, but at the same time, there's too much evidence against them. And that's the harder thing is like dealing with conservative information that's like, no, that's not how this works.
Right.
All right. So what else you got for me?
All right. Don't know what to do about former straight friend. This is actually 30 to 34 as well. For about 8 years, let's call him Bob, was my best friend. We did everything together and hung out all the time. Nothing sexual. Classic story. He meets a girl. We talk normally. He marries girl. We talk less. He has kids. He never returns my texts, not even on birthday or Father's Day. I sent those 2 texts for 2 years. After that, I would just mail a card during the holidays. I haven't replied or reached out in about 3 years. This week, his wife randomly reached out asking how I was and said we should all get together. I'm halfway over it, but also think he'd be a typical straight guy and not realize he didn't text back and not think anything of it. Am I overthinking it and just try to hang out, or be over it and keep that chapter of my life closed?
Leave it closed. If he wasn't valuing you then, he's not valuing you now.
Like, I mean, part of me gets it. Like, you get in a relationship, you get busy with a relationship, you have things going on, you get married. That whole process is like a thing. You're going
Right.
through new relationship energy. Like, then the kids start, and there's, the constant push and pull of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I guess, kind of the point.
Right.
I
And the harder
push
point.
and pull. I get there's push and pull. I get that
Right.
life gets demanding, and it is really hard. To try to keep friendships going, to keep, like the relationships, the non-sexual, the friendships, the family ships, the whatever ships,
Mm-hmm.
moving outside of the actual, hi, you're a dad with 2 kids thing.
Right.
I get it. It also becomes a little bit hard to understand how for now 5 years
Mm-hmm.
is what this sounds like, at least 5.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't return a text.
Or a phone call.
You know what I mean? And then your wife has to reach out for you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
dude,
Yeah.
dude.
Grow up hair.
I mean, that's a lot to, like. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have friends that we kind of drifted apart,
Right.
but I like even then it's still, yeah, I can reach out every once in a while. We still send each other some stuff every once in a while.
Right.
It's nowhere the relationship we had, but at like 5 years, like I think everyone moved on. There's
Right.
I mean, if you want to get back in touch with your old friend, if you're willing to get over it, I don't think you are, though. I think you're done. Like, I think you really got hurt by the fact that they kind of dropped you like a hot potato.
Right. And, I find it weird that the wife is wanting to hang out, not the husband.
Hey, oddly, I don't find it weird per se.
Okay.
I'm just wondering what's prompting it.
Right.
Is it like, like maybe their relationship started and she was being really demanding and like shutting him off from other people and like, throwing a fit about, you're talking to your friend again. And then like, why, you need to do this, you need to do that. I mean, I'm kind of getting a little facetious there, but sometimes relationships get a little too clingy, especially in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and people get really uncomfortable about friendships and other relationships, and even like the whole parent-child thing when they feel that maybe their partner is a little too attached.
Right.
A little too, and some people have been warned about it, or they've had the past experience of that's what blew up a relationship.
Right.
Is so now they're really hyper vigilant about what are you doing, where are you at, why doesn't it involve me? We have to spend all of our time together. You can't go anywhere alone. You can't have a moment to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if, like, was it that kind of like backstory, and now it's like they've gotten into some counseling. He's really embarrassed. She's trying to fix it, like
Right.
save the marriage, because he's ready to like run. One scenario.
Right.
Or it's like he, got stressed out with the whole relationship and marriage and fatherhood, and just kind of like sheltered in place, and his mental health has been declining for the last few years.
Right.
And so, like, there may be a serious event that's occurred. Like, the 30 to 34 is a rough time for everyone.
It is, but I think that's also when you start seeing who you're with, who you're not with, what style of people you want to be around, what style of people. It's like, no, like you were fun in a group, but you suck as a, in a couple now. Mm-hmm.
Well, and again, some relationships, like it's really weird.
Yeah.
Like the way that, like, in some relationships, like, and it's also a concern as well, I guess, as to why the wife reached out, has she inadvertently become the cruise director? Like, she's
That's a possibility
schedule his
too.
play dates and his doctor's appointments, and
Mm-hmm.
load the dishwasher, take care of the kids, and
Mm-hmm.
like a million and one things, only to
Right.
realize he's becoming, because, and that's a whole hot topic right now. I ran across that today, is the epidemic of male loneliness.
Right.
In addition to, we now have a new term,
Uh-huh.
man keeping. It's when a typically a wife takes on the entire load of, managing his social calendar, managing his doctor's appointments, managing his emotional well-being with no reciprocation. And
That's
like,
insane.
okay,
Like you trying to manage my wife's schedule, that would be insane.
well, I mean, we try.
Well, I get that, but doing that, like, please don't take that role on. You will confuse my friends on why you're messaging them. Um, you will probably message the wrong people.
Oh, okay.
You know, like, no, like, one, I don't like people. I talk to them enough at work. I want to come home. I want to hit my, SL and fish. And, if this was like a normal 9 to 5 day, it's like, leave me alone. Let me go play my Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I
But
don't want
yeah,
to go have
so
wine with Bobby and Marky, who are boring, and I get to listen to their latest debate on what child they want to adopt, either a poodle or a German Shepherd.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really struggle telling people to just, like, nah, like, ditch your friends, but I think that's not the case here. I think it's unfortunate. It sounds like y'all had a great friendship, but I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it's over.
like,
Like it was over 4 years ago.
and it's a weird part about people's 30s is, like,
Yeah,
you do have friendships that were once like, we spent all of our time together, and
right,
then they just kind of fizzle.
right.
And it gets harder to make friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be kind of lonely.
Yeah,
It can feel really uncomfortable
right.
to, you start
And it
moving
can,
into your 30s and you're kind of over here alone.
yeah. But, I don't think I need to start planning play dates for you and
Uh,
dropping you off at Lowe's. Because right
okay.
now, is it Lowe's or Hobby Lobby? No. Lowe's or no, it's Home Depot that has the male babysitter commercials that are funnier than shit. I get that. But it's like, who needs to like, stick a note to the husband, do not allow him near the plumbing section. We'll put Bobby up in 3 hours.
That was Home Depot?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm not checking where our nearest Home Depot is. I'm not checking at all.
It's in
Not at
Charleston.
all. Not at all. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Charleston or Hurricane.
Uh-huh.
Charleston or Hurricane. All right.
All right.
case any of y'all were wanting to know, and you're in the middle of West Virginia, where you could perhaps drop your husband off to, be taken care of for a few hours while you get stuff done. Charleston or Hurricane. That's oh, that's fun. But all right. But I think your friendship's done, and I kind of want to hear from the wife as to what's going on.
Right.
Like, I think that would be really interesting to hear from the other side on that.
I think it would too.
All right.
All right. So what's next for us?
All right. This one is actually 35 to 39. Mentioning autism on dating apps. Hi, just after some outside opinions, please. Do you think it's a good idea to mention autism on dating apps? I swear I get less matches or likes since I put it on my profile. Almost none. But I want to be upfront about it so they don't think I'm weird if we meet for a date, and I don't want to have to mask to stop that from happening. Otherwise, it's just building something where I'm not able to be myself. I feel if I put it on the apps, it pre-warns people that I might be a bit different, but autistic people present in so many different ways and have different support needs and personalities, people don't necessarily know what it means. Alongside that, I think a lot of people, possibly most, tend to have a stereotype of what an autistic person is like. They probably imagine something similar to the Love on the Spectrum show. Just for reference, I am low support needs, completely independent, etc. Can work when not too burnt out or depressed, but that's another topic, though I do tend to only work part-time to avoid burnout. I could mention it when chatting before a date, but I think it would lead to the same issue if we've not met in person. I don't know what is best and wondered what others' perspectives were. Thanks in advance.
I think we have to clarify what sites they're on. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're on Hinge or, Tinder or any of the other dating apps.
Like long-term relationship oriented.
Right. I think that you need to be a little more clarifiable. Not like, I have autism. It needs to be like, I'm looking for a partner that can deal with this level of need.
Yeah. And just kind of state that, like, I know, like, I am autistic, and here's what that means.
Right.
Not that you always get a lot of room in those profiles to really, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's gonna be hard. I think you don't lead with it in the profile. Right. I think it's got to be a kind of a postscripty thing. Instead of like, hi, here's the headline. Because I think, if you put that, so to speak, above the fold, I think a lot of people are just going to be like, no. I'm looking for uncomplicated. I'm looking for, whatever. And I think I think OP has a valid point that I think a lot of people are dismissive, and especially in the age of apps. I've had a firm problem with apps for a while.
I have a number of problems with apps.
Yeah, and it's all the apps. It's all the dating apps. It's all the hookup apps. It's all the whatever apps for meeting people. I think it really gives us a problem with endless choice, and it becomes a doom scroll of attractive people or unattractive people, or just the game of, so to speak, of swiping left, swiping right, back and forth, back and forth. Right. And I think you kind of move out of this idea of being on the apps to meet someone, and you start kind of chasing this, so to speak, unicorn. I know I'm using that word wrong for a lot of context. The best word to explain it, or we can call them narwhals. if that
Right.
helps any. That like you see someone great, and then you assume that, well, there's got to be someone better. Well, then you find
Right.
someone better, and you assume there's got to be someone better, and you just kind of brick by brick by brick go off the cliff, where it's like, I don't like, you're not dating, you're not going out, you're just scrolling through
Right. And
endless pile of choices,
mhm.
and then getting stuck in this idea that either A, you start to become really, like, you start to have confidence issues that,
Mhm.
oh great, I found the most perfect man ever, or woman, or whomever, and like, I'm not good enough. I can't approach them, I can't talk to them, I can't, I'm not worthy. Or you just get perpetually stuck in the idea that, oh my god, they're amazing, what's better?
Right.
And you just keep
Keep
scrolling,
scrolling.
and you're not like reaching out to people, you're not making connections, you're avoiding the DMs, you're vaguely responding to people, you're not really making the effort.
Well,
um
there's that, and then the other side of it is, and granted, it's been about 6 months since I even flipped my apps on. So if you're looking for me, I'm not there. Um, is that like no one takes the time to actually fill out a quality profile anymore?
or they do.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same problems we sometimes see with, like, I'm gonna start something. I think that in the age of the app, there was a point in which they were great,
Hmm.
and we were all just genuine, honest people who just, I mean, yeah, you fudge some shit, like, you set your weight 10 pounds lower because you don't look that weight, and
Right.
you bump your height up an inch or two, and on and on and on. But not really materially bad.
Right.
Like, it's close enough. Like, you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like, eh. Um, but then I think that we kind of got into being professional profile makers,
Hmm.
and we kind of lost the ability to connect with real people.
Right.
Like, we got really good at creating profiles,
Hmm.
and we create really great profiles, and we show ourselves the best possible way. And I think it kind of ends up going the other way. Is that the
Well.
better we look online, the more I think both ourselves start to know the tricks, and, like, well, you hold the
Mhm.
camera this way, and you set this filter, and you like this lighting, and you do this, and and okay, so what are you hiding? But then
Right.
I think we also start to just, in reading the profiles, get into
Hmm.
this mindset that, like, that's bullshit, that's not real, that's not. And so
Hmm.
before we, like, and I mean, there's a certain amount of that you do have to have in order
Hmm.
to anyone,
Right.
online, offline, whatever, is recognize that, you put your best foot forward, you're trying to make a good impression, the reality is going to be a little less.
Right.
Like, that's like the person that you go on a date with, or whose profile you read, in about 6 months, not gonna necessarily be
Right.
as awesome. There's, I
Right.
mean, hopefully still great, and you keep going out with them. But yeah, you got the best version. Like, you
Right.
got the fresh produce. Then after a while, you're kind of on the quote unquote ugly plant shelf of their personality, and it's like, I can still make a good salad.
Right.
Is hopefully where you would
Is
know.
hopefully where you end up. But three three dates, 3 weeks, 3 dates, 3 weeks, 3 months is really the evaluation. 3 dates if you want to continue, 3 weeks if you want to see if it's get serious, 3 months to decide if you're keeping them. Or if it's time to throw them back to the discount aisle.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think mention the autism, explain the autism, at least try to give a vague idea
Right.
that, like, what are we talking about here? Like, give
Right.
someone a reasonable expectation of what that means. Maybe
Right.
don't mention all the worst possible parts of it. Try to
Right.
find some positives to bring attention to.
Right.
I mean, if nothing else, autism awareness, gotta love it.
Mhm.
But no, I still don't think you're going to get past the people that see the one word and they're like, nope.
No. But
But
those aren't
that's
the people you
where
want to go and date anyhow.
true.
You know, it's like me. I don't date somebody that's underneath my damn foot all the time. That will drive me crazy. I am too independent.
Hey, fair enough. So yeah. So yeah. So one of the comments is my autism is lots of odd interests. Don't get my socks wet and don't make me people.
Right.
That's a very different idea than some people may get. Like, not that there isn't a lot of autism awareness. I think though that anytime we say something
Mm-hmm.
about a medical condition, especially,
Right.
I think we all kind of have that moment where it's like we start assuming the worst about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's
Right.
sort of like, there's an equal problem that is often talked about in like the disabilities and difference of abilities community.
Right.
That when you say something like I'm a wheelchair user, that doesn't always communicate well.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, what do you mean by that? Like, and then people don't really have the language to ask and necessarily understand what they're getting, what they maybe should be asking. And it's
Right.
like, can you
But
throw
there's
me a
even
bone?
a better way to phrase those. Okay? Like there's too many don'ts here. First of all, you
Yeah.
can, if you were going to use this in a dating profile, you know, do it this way. Enjoys quiet evenings at home and has a lot of interest for deep conversation. Very neat dresser.
Eh.
And it's all in phrasing. Like, yeah, and most times people expect either nonverbal or Sheldon from Big Bang Theory because that's what they know. That's like a lot of people expect me to be Cody Brown, and I'm like, no, I'm not interested in Cody Brown.
Yeah. Like, but we do have a tendency to assume, so to speak, our version of the worst.
Right,
Like, what would, like we would take in a word like autism and go,
right,
okay, what's the worst
right,
situation for autism that I would just never want to date? And then without any other information,
mm-hmm.
kind of jump to the conclusion that's what we're talking about. And it's
Right,
like, no.
yeah,
Yeah. Like, I can kind of get that. I'm like, I'll just put it out there. I've and we've talked about it. Is that I've dated a lot of people who were bipolar,
mm-hmm.
and I will say that I would have a moment there where if I'm looking at a profile and someone's like, "Hey, I'm bipolar," and just that's it. That's all you gave me. My experiences alone.
Right,
It's not like, everyone that I've dated that was bipolar was the worst that bipolar has to
right,
offer. But I also can have an immediate guttural reaction to that and be like, oh man, I like, oh,
right,
I don't know that I'm ready for that again.
right,
Like what are we talking about here? Like you gotta give me something to work with.
mm-hmm.
I mean, so I'll kind of backtrack myself a little bit and go, maybe don't mention it in the profile.
Right,
Do mention your individual personality. Like, make sure, like, it's coming through,
right.
but maybe don't use the word and then get there.
Uh,
Ah. Fair enough.
Fair enough. All right. So what else you got for me?
All right. So moving right along, really clipping through these.
Yeah.
All right. So this one's again 30 to 34. Wow, there's a lot of 30 to 34-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So bi and straight resentment. Maybe a bit of a darker one, but does anyone ever feel like they hate / despise straight people? I work in a customer facing role and often find myself getting really frustrated by straight people who I often perceive as having no sense of self awareness or humility. With straight couples, it seems especially bad. I don't know why. Then today, my ex partner saw me in town. I live in a small city in the UK, and he said he realized he was bisexual and now had a girlfriend. He said he just felt like he wanted a quote, normal life.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment, I felt this huge bubble of resentment come up because I feel like deep down, straight people, even if they won't admit it publicly, actually do perceive themselves and their relationships as real, and that gay relationships just don't count. This even goes for my workplace, where they always assume I can cover for straight coworkers and family commitments. I'm at the point where I just have all this rage and resentment, and it feels unhealthy, but also kind of justified, and I don't know what to do. Sorry for the rant, just feel alone with it.
See, and this is such a mixed bag of tomatoes, so just let's work through it.
Okay.
There are splinters of the communities that are, you know, get upset with the straight people, get upset with the bi dudes, especially when the bi dudes are lying about having a girlfriend but still showing up at your house. That can be a little bit of a sideline issues, especially for like our uh, Gen Zers who are like, well, you got to pick one, and they focus, well, I lost him because he had a girlfriend. No, you lost him not because he had a girlfriend. You lost him because your relationship didn't work, probably because of the low self-esteem and the compensation with jealousy. There's
Well,
that.
competition.
Right.
Yeah. But as to the actual question,
Mm-hmm.
um, I will say
Mm-hmm.
I understand it, especially from a workplace perspective.
Right.
And I'm not going so far as to say like full on resentment and hatred. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
But I think there are workplaces that especially
Mm-hmm.
count people in non-heterosexual relationships
Mm-hmm.
or those that are single
Mm-hmm.
all in the same group, and then really in their support of family values um, tend to get really dismissive of like people who are single and in non-heterosexual relationships
Right.
in terms of like assuming you're available to cover shifts like OP's talking about, and
Mm-hmm.
that like your commitments to your partner or to
Mm-hmm.
yourself really don't matter. And I
Well,
always found that weird. It's like you want to sit here and talk about how we're such a family-focused company,
mm-hmm.
but then you work your single employees to the point that they can't even date,
Right.
and it kind of becomes this like, so I should have been married before I got here. I should have had kids before I got here
Right,
because
a
now
number of times, see, and that's a double-edged sword. And at the nursing station, we used to laugh about it. The other male or single female nurses that got stuck on Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, every holiday in the book, and the excuse was, "Well, she has a family. Well, she has kids." Like,
I'd
yeah,
have a
doesn't
family
she?
kid if I got to leave out of here.
Well, but no, like this is the double-edged sword that never made sense to any of us.
Okay.
If you work a holiday, you get double pay.
Mhm.
So one 12-hour shift is equal to 24 hours of pay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of money.
Why wouldn't you want to let that single mom or that, man with new baby have that shift? You will direct, oh, he's got a new kid. We need to give him at least these holidays off. I'm like,
have y'all bought diapers before?
Well, not only that, but it's like, yeah, they call on us to work the holidays, to work the long shifts, to pick up the extra shifts. But at the same time, it cuts the hell out of these people that, the pay period includes Christmas and New Year's. That is an extra 48 hours paid.
Right. Well, and that's one version to think of. But then there's the other one, like, the mom that has to, like, classic examples, the mom that has to leave work early because the school just called and the kid's sick and she's got to go pick the kid up and take the rest of the day off. And, like, I think every single employee, at least, has that moment of, like, I understand it's not like you're going out for a spa day.
Right.
But, like, in a lot of situations, there's not that same recognition for, like, I'm sick. My mom's sick. I need to take someone to the doctor.
Yeah.
That you get with, like, the whole family idea of, this child is dependent. It's always that, like, your mom will figure it out, or you can deal with that on your day off, whenever that is in the future.
Right.
At least 2 weeks in the future.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It can very much feel like you're getting punished because you didn't show up or claim a family, because that actually was a thing back in the like 2010s, that people actually started, like, unethical life hack. Go ahead and claim a spouse and a kid. Just every job. Yep, I have family. Make sure, like, and you don't even have to do it obliquely. Like, you don't have to sit there and directly say it. Put a picture of you and a nephew or a niece or whatever on your desk. If people assume that's your daughter,
right,
don't correct them.
Right.
Put a picture of you and a good friend on your desk. They assume that's your wife. Don't correct them.
Right.
Just let it go and, cash out the equivalencies there. It doesn't mean go abuse the system, but it's like, don't get abused by it.
Right.
By being, so to speak, perceived as single.
Right.
And whether you actually are single or you're in a relationship that employer may not recognize. And it is very common in the workplace, and it is very, very frustrating. And especially some of the pay disparities. Because and those have been pointed out, is that employers tend to more favorably give raises to people who are married or perceived as married, especially heterosexually married, than they frequently do towards their single or non-heterosexually married counterparts. And it does. It starts to, at least it did for me, feel like I was getting punished. Like, I'm here, I'm doing my work, I'm not calling out because, a kid's sick or there's a school play or a PTO meeting or whatever. I have to cover all of that for my coworkers that have that. And then, finding out later that a coworker got a bigger raise than you, so that, because they kept talking about how they wanted to buy a house with their wife, or buy a house because of whatever. All the way into, like, I got really mad at one point. And I will say this, and if he happens to watch it, just know that, like, don't get me wrong. It's not that I felt unsupportive and like I appreciated the situations and stuff going on. But like having a boss that, got married, bought a house, and started IVF and then had a child within about a year,
Right.
and all the things that goes into that, going to picking out the venue for the wedding, meeting with the caterer, going to doctor's appointments, lots of doctor's appointments, house showings, bank loan applications, all of it.
Right.
To be fair, we got shafted as a department on that.
Oh, yeah.
Like I went, and it was a little more than a year because all totaled up, it was like 18 months. I didn't have a single, of my normal work week. I could not, there was no way for me to take a day off. Either my boss wasn't there to ask, so what's the point? There's no one to call into if I needed, like really truly felt bad and wanted to try to call out. There's no one to answer. And then it's like you're going off to do this and you're going off to do that. Oh, and bought a car. And it was just, it got kind of nuts. And it's like, yeah, I feel really resentful right now that like you're getting a lot of straight privilege. And it's not that I don't understand that buying a house is a lot of work, and buying a car is a lot of work, and IVF treatments are a lot of work, and pregnancy is a lot of work, and a newborn a lot of work. But it's like, I'm just supposed to drone over here for what, 18 months, 2 years, 3, like just keep going. Like, I need some, like, I'm not saying I'm not sympathetic to you. I'm just saying, damn, cut me some slack. I'm not a robot. And it feels like oftentimes we see straight people or single people and those perceived as single like they're robots. That you're just supposed to get up, go to work, go home, and do it again. And you can work the long hours. You can always stay late. You can leave at the last minute. Doesn't matter what your vacation plans are. Trade a person who wants to go see their, dying mother for Christmas. Like, again, it's not that I'm not sympathetic, but at some point it's like, damn, I'm not a robot. Like, what am I supposed to do here? I can't cover for everyone's life.
And you can't. You can't cover everyone's life. You can't be there all the time. And that's okay. But it can get really hard.
It does become very important to like set the boundary of like what you will and won't do, and do it early, because that is often some of the big problem of it. But as for the overarching idea, no, I don't hate people for being straight. Or bi, or I don't. I do think there are sometimes advantages that you can have that can sometimes spill over, especially if you're surrounded by communities that are very pro that situation. That don't necessarily understand or want to. Or take into consideration that, like, is this fair? Is what we're doing fair? Like, yeah, you're single, but should I really dump everything on you like this? Is that what I'm doing? More importantly, not even asking the question, am I dumping this on you because I think less of you and your time and your family and your friends and the life you're trying to have than I do this person who's already, got the wife, got the kids, got the car, got the house, or supporting that, life progression. And the fact that you're at square one, we're just going to let you hang out over here forever. I think sometimes I think companies are really, I don't think it's intentional sometimes. I really don't. I don't think it's intentional all the time. I think some places it can be, but in the most part, and like I never thought my boss was intentional. But I think it was more thoughtlessness, and not by him really even, but the whole company, the company as a whole. It was a lot more thoughtlessness than it was intent.
Right.
And sometimes that hurts more than if someone intentionally did something to you.
Well, and I think that it's not that it's being so self-focused and not being in good leadership, a good leadership position.
Like you really do have to start to think about it from the other side of the dais.
Right.
That like, what are you doing to people?
Right.
I will freely say that for 4 years, 10 months, and 9 days, I didn't have time for a life.
Right.
I didn't have time for friends. I didn't have time to go out. I was exhausted.
Right.
Like date, or even the idea at one point of like trying to get into a relationship long term. Like I was dating, and I had already had the realization this is as far as it can go.
Right.
I can't afford this. I can't afford a relationship.
Right.
I can at best maybe consider a roommate.
Right.
And even then, I'm going to be a pretty shitty roommate.
Right.
Like I'm running 80 hours a week.
And
I'm wore out. The last thing I want to think about is dishes and laundry and trash and cleaning the sink. And believe me, for 4 years, 10 months, and 9 days, I really didn't care that much. Like I occasionally got to a Sunday where I'm like, this is really bad.
Right.
I'm gonna clean this up and get my act together. And it lasts for like a week, and then I'm burnt out. I'm exhausted. I don't feel like it. I don't even want to go home.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I literally thought at one point of if I thought the owner of the business would not like blow a gasket, trade everything in for a damn camper, and just park it in the company parking lot. At least I don't have to worry about falling asleep driving home.
Right.
And I think that's ridiculous. And there were a lot of things that led to that. It wasn't just one thing. We were an overworked department. We were understaffed. They were not hiring for their growth. The company sort of basically failed.
And that was the bigger part. And I think the bigger problem there is they were a failing company that did not scale. Granted, I pull 80s and don't blink. But you're right. I don't care about dishes. I don't normally care what we're having for dinner. Just, can I eat it?
Well, and for a long time, they were like, you were even talking about, like, you were living off of, like, when you were in nursing, you were drinking a can of Coke and a Snickers bar, and that was a meal.
Yeah, that is still a meal, thank you.
Same day.
Yeah, that is still a meal.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. A can of Coke and a Hershey's with almonds because Snickers got nasty to me. It's a delicious meal. I can run for 16 hours on that.
Yeah. That's not. It's not a meal. It doesn't.
All right. So you pop up and are you the asshole? We'll do that. And then instead of Ask Gay Bros out of over 30, I'm going to go straight Ask Gay Bros, and we will talk about that. Oh, well, Ask Gay Men, maybe Ask Gay Bros. And we'll get that moving.
All right. Well, I was not quite prepared with Am I the Asshole, so let me scroll real quick.
Yep.
Do I know?
I was agreeing.
Okay. Because I had started scrolling through, and then we were doing Ask Gay Bros, so I kind of abandoned the search. So I'm having to get back down to the point that I like almost had one. Oh, this one's actually kind of it's snarky, and I kind of like it.
Okay.
We're going for it. All right. Am I the asshole for telling a woman I can only help her if her son is dead or dying? I work for our national paramedicine organization. I'm not a paramedic, though. I'm trained in first response and don't work the trucks, but have an app that alerts me to incidents within a certain radius. So I basically only respond to cardiac arrests. I'm not trained in a lot of ways, but I'm really good at CPR and defibrillation. Other than that, I can deal with severe life-threatening bleeds, breaks, burns, and breathing issues, choking or anaphylactic shock. I was at the chemist waiting in line, picking up my sick wife's prescription, and a woman came in and walked straight up to the chemist, busy with a prescription, and just started talking at him. She had her adolescent son with her. He told her to wait, but she just pretended not to hear him and kept talking. I was in uniform and had just finished a tiring shift, and he looked at me with a, I don't know what to do about her, help me face. So I just gave him a smile and nod of approval to serve her. He started getting her script ready, and she said to him, also, my son needs a flu vaccination. The chemist said to her, I'm sorry, but I'm not trained to give vaccinations to 12 and under. She pushed him with, oh, he is 12. And he replied with, yes, but I can't vaccinate 12 and under.
Mm-hmm.
This back and forth carried on with her getting more and more pushy until she finally caved and said, well, the other chemist I've been to does it, so you can just do it. He politely repeated himself, and she threw her hands up in the air and looked to me for support. Yeah, right. She then marked my uniform and said, well, if you just get the vaccine ready, I'm sure he can do it. I don't know why. It was just the first reply that came to my head, and she had really irritated me. So I looked her dead in the eye and said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I can only help if your kid is dead or dying in front of me. And honestly, he looks fine to me. The reason I'm worried I was an asshole is because both of their eyebrows went up in shock, and then she looked horrified. She grabbed her script off the chemist and walked off, grabbing her kid's arm and shaking her head. I could tell the chemist was trying not to laugh, but he was obviously initially also shocked. I was in uniform, so I'm worried I've misrepresented my organization and might get in trouble too. Was I too casual about death with her? Should I have replied more professionally or in a different way? She was deeply offended. Am I an asshole for saying that? What you think?
I don't think you were an asshole. She was pushing the issue.
I mean, I think that's one of those moments that, like, I would hope your boss would have a decent sense of humor about it. Because ultimately, knowing the full story, I think what you saw register on the pharmacist's face was shock, but not the shock you think it was. I think it was the like, oh, thank fuck. Someone actually gets to tell her off. In no uncertain terms. And less of the like, I cannot believe, I'm horrified. You shouldn't have said that. I doubt that was the shock you registered in the chemist. I think it's one of those like, argue with that. How do you argue with that? There's no argument to be had. Like, she's done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying not the asshole.
I'm saying not the asshole also. Apparently my
All right.
earbuds decided not to be the assholes either.
Oh, well, that would be useful. It has been the longest day of the year.
It has, and my earbuds do it for me every time.
Oh,
So
no.
yeah, so not the asshole. Um, I would have looked at her and said, "Does he have heart palpitations? Should I call the TED unit?" Like, I'm a sarcastic bitch, even more so in public. So I would have given it to her, especially when he's pushing the chemist. So I go not the asshole. The poll is up, and here is your surprise advice one.
Oh, what do we got?
Do-do-do-do. I love this one because these, when I don't give you time to read, because then we get Joe's hot take, and everyone likes Joe's hot take.
Alrighty. So Ask A Bro says, my husband invited his best friend who's fallen under hard times to live with us while he looks for new housing. He didn't ask me first. What do I do? Basically, the best friend was in a 10-year relationship with a predatory, rich, wealthy gay about 20 to 25 years older than him, who is a piece of shit, but used his money to pay for everything. So the best friend just kind of put up with it for the convenience of free housing and trips to music festivals and whatnot. My husband had a huge falling out with the wealthy gay, but not the husband last year, and hasn't heard from the best friend much at all until this breakup happened. They broke up after the older rich gay continuously cheated on him, and the breakup was quite bad, and he's being kicked out of that house. My husband offered to have him live with us while he looks for new housing. Am I being an asshole that I don't want him to live with us? We have a guest bedroom and a second bathroom with a shower, so that's fine. But I really value my privacy. He works from home, and I previously did. I had a remote job but was laid off last month, though I have a final interview for another remote job that I'd be starting in a few weeks. If one of us was gone during the day, I think I'd be more okay with it, but the circumstances didn't work out that way. I'm in my early 30s. I've worked really hard to be the breadwinner for my husband and until I was laid off, so we could have a house and not live with roommates anymore. The best friend will probably be here for months while he looks for new housing since he's trying to save up to buy a house. While I hate to admit it, I also feel that the best friend is only using my husband for convenience. He didn't reach out much at all over the past year until this situation happened. So, any advice on what to do? Should I just live with it? I guess I'm okay if he's here for like a few days to a week or even 2 weeks, but having him live and work here long term will likely become a problem for me quickly.
Well, speaking from someone who works at home with his husband and another husband in the house, and now another special guest, I barely see anyone. So, what are you doing with your work from home situation? Like, are you sitting there in the living room trying to work? Like, you need to be managing that area, create your workspace. Hopefully, you got a basement or a back porch that you've got a few weeks to build in to create you a workspace. So, yeah, you leave the house for a little while. Dude's not going to be that much of a problem. Yeah, he may be entertaining the husband. Great. That means you don't have to. Get some extra work in. Go do those projects that he whines about. I don't think it's a big deal. What about you?
Well, I mean, we've I think technically your best one to date was when your ex called looking for
Uh-huh.
a ride, and it was like, okay, we can do that. That turned into a, well, our car's going to be down for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
You continuously like get us, transportation or provide transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that turned into because this was another couple, they broke up effectively, and the not your ex had nowhere to go, who
Mm-hmm.
then lived with us for what was that, 4 months, 5 months?
5 months.
Yeah.
And then I
All
mop the
because
floors.
it was like, honey, would you mind to go pick up my ex who was stranded in a Walmart parking lot? And I went, sure. So that, I mean, like, I think we have a little experience with this situation. It doesn't always go as planned. One. Two, to be very fair, I think we were all done with the helping them that we could be by the time they moved out. It really had started to grate for I do think everyone.
Yeah.
Like not just us, not just me, not just you, not just any one person. We were all like, this got to end.
Right.
Like, we can hang in there a little bit longer. It's a struggle, and I think it's legitimate concerns. I also think you have to, and that was an ex in their current / then ex situation.
Right.
I think if you're talking about someone and their best friend, I don't necessarily care that they haven't spoken in a year.
Right.
Most of that probably has to do with their ex.
Exactly.
And the failing relationship and the disaster of that relationship.
Right.
I don't think it's as opportunistic as you think.
Well, and I think that he's looking at this like he's looking at, oh my God, we don't have privacy, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you do. It just depends on how you design your house.
Like, and how you design the agreement.
Right.
I think that's going to be A1 and really does have to be A1 is like, what are the boundaries here?
Right.
And just be like, I'm willing to let you help out your friend, but here's the boundaries. Right. And not turn that into it's impossible for them to stay boundaries.
Right.
But be realistic. Yeah. Like, address your concerns. Like, I need my privacy. I need to feel comfortable in my own home. I don't want someone living on my couch 24/7, 365 days a year. For a year. Yeah. Like what are the boundaries? And draw those out and be like, be reasonable. Right. But address your concerns, and if they're totally against it, then this isn't gonna work. So like, honey, figure it out because this isn't gonna work. Right. And that may take on many different forms. That may be paying for a hotel room for a while. If your spouse is in a position to do that while you're looking at this job. It may look like, helping them for a few days and then getting them to another friend to live there for a while. It can. Or you might just need to go get some Tornado Alley and mop the floor. Fair enough. And to answer your question, it's our grandnephew, right? Yes. Yeah. Great nephew. Yeah. Great nephew. So which is cool. Yeah. But no, I mean it happens, and I think in any relationship, and it happens the moment you sign a house. You sign a house, and you pay it off. You're going to have people that need to come stay, especially if you're, anywhere near the word papa. Get used to having kids. That's probably A1 on that list. But I don't even think you have to own a house. I just think that eventually you're going to walk into find yourself in that situation. Right. That someone's going to fall on a hard time. And don't make it a permanent solution. Make it clear this is not the solution. Right. Set realistic goals for how long this is going to be within a degree of certainty. Like if it's going to be a year, then you need to get a rent agreement. But if you're going to continually work remotely, you need an office that is isolated or can be isolated easily. Yeah. It's a lot about structuring your space and having alternative spaces to be in, as well as for them to realize that you need them to be in alternative spaces. That hi, let's find you something to do, somewhere to go, somewhere to hang out, something to do.
Yes.
You know, might be a good time to add to a gym membership.
Right.
You know, like look at other things for them to get interested in and to do.
Right.
Because sometimes it can be as simple as they have a class once a week.
Yeah.
Cool. That may be just enough to be like, okay, I've got this free time. This free time is ours. This free time is mine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we can make this work.
Right.
So those are all considerations. I don't think I think it's unfortunate, and I would address with your husband that they didn't ask or talk to you first.
Right.
And just kind of, well, yeah, we're going to do this. I totally think that's a thing you need to get some help with, or not help with, to put that out on the table and discuss and come to a conclusion that,
right.
like, if you ever plan to do this again, please ask me next time. Don't tell me.
Right.
Because yeah, that part's a little crunchy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's check out that Are You the Asshole?
All right. Where are we on the poll?
Oh. Ooh. Surprise, surprise. No, you are not the asshole this week.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
All right. So with that, we're going to throw this.
All right. Of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, and Bella. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes, and we will see you on Thursday. It is a reminder, tomorrow is virtual, meaning on the phone, Psychic Saturday. You want to get those appointments booked because those appointments fill up quickly.
Yes.
But
book them
this
now.
is virtual, meaning phone, Zoom.
Don't show up at the store. Don't
show up at the store. I am not at the Crystal Lotus till next Saturday.
All right.
All right. You have a great evening, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
And let's let it